Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest edition of the Woke Bros. Of course, I'm your co-host, Big Wos, and he's back from his latest, excursion internationally on the west side of Los Angeles. Nando Vila, what's up, brother?
Dude, I went to the U.S. Virgin Islands where Tim Duncan is from.
Yes.
And
So was Raja Bell of the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, Raja Bell, there you go. I sailed past a little island called Little St. James Island. That's Epstein's Island. Jeffrey Epstein's Island. It's right there, dude. I was on the ferry from an island called St. Thomas to an island called St. John. And the guy kind of sitting next to me in the ferry, he just goes like, yo, that's Epstein's Island. And I was like, shit.
Wow. Yeah, you was deep in it, huh? That's good, man. You're looking good, looking tanned. We're happy that you're back, man. On today's show, we want to talk about Joe Biden announcing that he's doing it again. I'm not fucking leaving. Like Jordan Belfort in Wolf of Wall Street. He's running again. Kamala will be his running mate again. I think a lot of people, even some party insiders, is like, hey, man, Joe, give somebody else a run. But who the hell is he supposed to be passing this thing to? I mean, seriously, like who is he supposed to be like, you know what, if you run against Trump, we're in great hands and this is going to look great. Kamala is, whatever. We'll get into why he needed to do that. But first, man, some huge happenings in the world of media and corporate news. Tucker Carlson was fired on Friday by Fox News. On Monday, excuse me. Last week, Friday was his last show. Don Lemon was also fired by CNN. We'll get into the Don Lemon of it all, but Jerv, man, cue that Tucker Carlson video where he emerges on Twitter to speak directly to his audience.
Good evening, it's Tucker Carlson. One of the first things you realize when you step outside the noise for a few days is how many genuinely nice people there are in this country. Kind and decent people, people who really care about what's true, and a bunch of hilarious people also, a lot of those. It's got to be the majority of the population, even now. So that's heartening. The other thing you notice when you take a little time off is how unbelievably stupid most of the debates you see on television are. They're completely irrelevant. They mean nothing. In 5 years, we won't even remember that we had them. Trust me, as someone who's participated. And yet at the same time, and this is the amazing thing, the undeniably big topics, the ones that will define our future, get virtually no discussion at all. War, civil liberties, emerging science, demographic change, corporate power, natural resources. When was the last time you heard a legitimate debate about any of those issues? It's been a long time. Debates like that are not permitted in American media. Both political parties and their donors have reached consensus on what benefits them, and they actively collude to shut down any conversation about it. Suddenly, the United States looks very much like a one-party state. That's a depressing realization, but it's not permanent. Our current orthodoxies won't last. They're brain dead. Nobody actually believes them. Hardly anyone's life is improved by them. This moment is too inherently ridiculous to continue, and so it won't. The people in charge know this. That's why they're hysterical and aggressive. They're afraid. They've given up persuasion. They're resorting to force. But it won't work. When honest people say what's true, calmly and without embarrassment, they become powerful. At the same time, the liars who've been trying to silence them shrink, and they become weaker. That's the iron law of the universe. True things prevail. Where can you still find Americans saying true things? There aren't many places left, but there are some, and that's enough. As long as you can hear the words, there is hope. See you soon.
I just thought that clip was very instructive on Tucker's appeal, why he's different, why he's so much bigger than your standard issue Fox News host, like why he's been so much more popular than all these people, like than Hannity, even more popular than O'Reilly. Like Tucker does something that's really, really clever for a right-wing person or critic in the media to do, which is that he and I have this on good authority, that he reads left-wing critiques of liberals and
Of the
the
libs,
system
yeah.
more broadly, but then transmogrifies them through like the right-wing lens, right? And if you notice in that clip, he talks about, you know, political corruption and things like that, and you know, things like you know, on his show, he you know, he did defend, you know, Julian Assange, and he did you know, criticize like Ukraine policy, like things that like the left kind of talks about, but then he kind of filters them through his right-wing sensibility, and it really is a huge differentiator for him because the criticisms are correct. You know what I mean? Like he identifies often a weakness in the arguments of the kind of liberal hegemony. You know what I mean? And then he just pokes holes in them, and people are like, "Yeah, that's fucking bullshit," you know? And it's why, like, whenever you see liberals fucking light their hair on fire over Tucker, like their criticisms of him are often kind of met with, they're not met with like, they're not received well by people who might be open to Tucker like arguments. You know what I mean? It's what made him more dangerous because he's just smarter than fucking Hannity. Like Hannity's like a dumbass, you know?
Yeah, he's way more savvier than Hannity.
Totally.
Hannity is Ron Burgundy, basically.
Yeah.
100%. He just reads the teleprompter.
Yeah. He's got nothing. But yeah, I mean, that was always a source of Tucker's power, and it remains. And obviously, like anyone, like, and there are some people like nominally on the left, or who maybe even are on the left, who kind of like defend Tucker, or are, you know, like, well, he's the only one challenging U.S. militarism or whatever. I mean, like, to believe that any of that is from Tucker is sincere. Like, I feel like Tucker is an absolute total cynic who's just clever.
Yeah.
You know? He doesn't believe anything, dude. That guy, like,
he's one of the rare right wingers where we know, you know, because a lot of times people on the left would be like, oh, this guy's insincere, or is this intellectually honest, which I think we kind of pay too much attention to that. But like Tucker's one of those people where it's like, no, we know he's lying.
Yeah.
He's fronting.
Yeah. Jerv, can you play the clip of Nick Mullen's impression of Tucker? And now that we have that Tucker clip fresh in your ears, just listen to Nick Mullen's impression of him because it's fucking amazing.
This isn't a joke. There's naked pictures of me all over the internet. Like what you see? I hope you do, because there's plenty more where that came from. What is going on? Who's jacking off to this? Not me. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's your family. This isn't a joke. There's naked pictures of me all over the internet.
That's it. That's the loop.
He nailed the cadence just perfectly.
What's
just
going on? You know, like, is it you? Maybe it's your family. You know, like he's got like that weird kind of, you know, asking a question then answering.
I'm just asking questions here. Yeah, and you know, people are wondering why he got fired. I think that lawsuit, after you just had to fork over $900 million, or $800 million, whatever the ridiculous number it ended up being, a number, by the way, that's just not going to tank operations. They're just going to continue business as usual.
And, okay, people. I mean, I you know, Wos, you're famous for your Succession pre-cap pods on the Ringer. I'm famous for the Succession recap pods at one point on the Bomb feed. It's worth remembering that Succession is based on, like, Logan Roy is based on Rupert Murdoch. Okay, now imagine what Logan Roy would do to a fucking host, no matter how popular that host may be, who fucking, you know, like calls his management team a fucking cunt, you know, who, you know, like, who's just fucking all day, you know what I mean? Like, just like lambasting them all day on text, you know, like, he's gonna fucking fire him. I mean, like, that's what it is. You know, like, Rupert Murdoch is not some just faceless corporate ghoul. He's Rupert Murdoch. Like, he's Logan Roy. Like, Logan Roy wouldn't tolerate that shit.
Something that he spends a lot of time thinking about and paying attention to.
Totally. And it's his baby, you know? It's his baby. It's like, you know, it's his. Like, anyone who thinks they're bigger than him at Fox Like, I'm sorry, you're out. People are like, oh my God, the Tucker, he's like the most popular host or whatever. It's like, yeah, that's all
They'll
true.
make
But
another popular host, guys. Like they can
Yeah.
find another guy. Maybe he won't be as good. He'll be probably more guileless than Tucker is. But like, I'm sorry, they'll find another freaking suit to put up there and tell these octogenarians what they need to hear. That's these dick pills ain't gonna sell themselves now. Come on now.
yeah. No, and those cable feed. The thing about the cable news business too is that it's a relatively stable business, in that the amount of profit you can make is, I mean, over time it's affected. But if you have like a temporary dip in the ratings, the vast majority of the revenue comes from cable contracts and subscriber fees, which are stable for years because they sign those contracts multi-year. You know. So Fox is not going to take a huge revenue dip just because like whatever fucking dumbass right winger they put in that slot, who's probably not going to be as smart as Tucker, and probably isn't going to be as popular as Tucker, because of what I just said.
Don't get me sued right after I got sued by Dominion. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm getting sued again now. And like I can directly trace the line of custody to you and be like, you're responsible for another suit. Like these guys, as much money as you might be earning me, Tucker, like if I gotta pay out more money, more millions, who knows how much this woman is gonna be able to get out of them for this? Like that's not cool either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, he's out of there.
What do you think he's gonna do now? Because when Glenn Beck was fired, he started his own thing. It was relatively successful, but he basically disappeared as an actual influential member of the conservative movement or whatever. Like, I'm sure he makes a decent chunk of change, but it's not, when he left Fox, he disappeared. When Bill O'Reilly left Fox, he disappeared. Tucker, I think, again, like is savvier and smarter than those guys, but he was legitimately an incredibly influential figure on the right and in DC and in politics and whatever. I think that the TV news credibility, even if it's Fox, like the fact that he's on cable news every night on TV, like real TV, not some fucking internet thing, not some fucking podcast, whatever. Like, people talk about Joe Rogan as like this hugely popular guy. Yes, of course he's hugely popular, but he's not as influential in a way in politics as Tucker, even though his audience is bigger. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, yo, Rogan is a huge deal, but like, there's something about like being Jimmy Fallon, right, and being part of NBC Universal's machine that just feels bigger. He's not making as much money as Rogan. He doesn't have the audience that Rogan does. He doesn't have probably the influence, quite frankly, to hawk stuff like ivermectin or whatever that shit was. But there's something, he feels bigger than Rogan. And anybody who's in that space understands that internet is cool and it's not like it's not profitable, but the vanity aspect, the sort of, quite frankly, the class aspect of it, the kinds of people you get to rub shoulders with in polite society is elevated by you being associated with a network, or even Bill Maher doing his HBO thing. I'm sure Tucker would love to have some type of, premium cable type of deal, right? With some type of legacy brand. But I don't see that as being in the cards for him. He's gonna have to go to the fucking internet, which, probably feels like it's below him at this point.
You know what I guarantee you was? There is a conversation happening right now, and it's probably not gonna
At CNN?
At CNN. But it's I don't think it's going to happen. But I guarantee you there's people at CNN who are secretly really intrigued by the possibility of getting Tucker.
Is Jeff Zucker still there?
No, he got Me Too'd. He's out.
Oh, shit. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was like a light Me Too. He had like a consensual relationship with a subordinate. With a subordinate.
He said a light Me Too.
A light Me Too,
a misdemeanor.
He wasn't accused by her or anything like that. It was just like the relationship came out and it wasn't disclosed properly or whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't Harvey Weinstein literally trying to forcing women to do sexual acts on them.
No. The president or whatever the head job at CNN right now is a guy named Chris Licht, who comes from like regular TV, broadcast TV, but they're owned now by they're part of the Warner Brothers Discovery merger. So they're overseen by David Zaslav. And I just promise you, like, I just know I hang out with sometimes with people in power, and I guarantee you a lot of them like secretly love Tucker, or they like Tucker. You know what I mean? Like they watch this show and whatever.
Yeah.
And, like,
they like his style. They like like that he's willing to be a complete psycho in the public and rile people up. Yeah. He's so
well, and
different.
again, he makes better arguments.
Yes, that's it.
He's better. He's just better at it. And like they're not correct. I'm not saying that. He's just better at arguing it and making you be like, oh yeah, that is fucked up, you know.
Replacement theory is just like it's obvious, and the reason why it's like it's got these kernels of truth, right? Like you look up and it's like black president. What the fuck? You know, like all these black people in Congress, like what the fuck? Like LeBron James is talking about Black Lives Matter. What the like? You look up and you're like, what the hell is going on? And Tucker Carlson's like, they're replacing you. It's like he's channeling in on an actual angst that people feel, and he's building arguments. They're not credible, they're not good ones, but like you said, like at least he's like constructing something that people want to grab onto, rather than like people getting on MSNBC and talking about misinformation is going to kill us.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, I mean, my comment dovetails nicely to the Don Lemon news, because like those type of people at CNN, the new leadership at CNN post Jeff Zucker, post Trump, you know what I mean? Like when Trump was in power and Jeff Zucker was running CNN, he basically made the strategic decision, which was correct from a business standpoint, to turn CNN to basically like a 24/7 anti-Trump channel.
Never Trump, blah, blah, blah.
It was highly lucrative. I think CNN made more money than it ever did during the Trump years. But now that Trump is gone and there's new management, and like there's like the echoes of that, like the hosts of CNN like almost miss Trump because they miss having the fucking guy to fight about all day. The guys who are the most anti-Trump, basically Brian Stelter and Don Lemon, are both out. They both fired him. The Don Lemon thing, man, he just seems like the worst fucking guy. Like the articles that have come out about him, like he just seems like the worst fucking guy. But he's a perfect avatar of a certain kind of liberalism that has adopted a sort of maximalist view on race, with like kind of a anti-left position on basically everything else. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the final argument that got him, fired essentially was this argument that he had with this like Republican congressman or something, in which he was like trying to make the argument that because he was black, the other guy couldn't tell him anything about black people. And someone on Twitter made the point that one of the most viral moments that happened on Fox News several years ago, was when that guy Reza Aslan, the Muslim scholar who wrote a book about Christianity, the Fox News hosts were like, if you're not a Christian, you're a Muslim. Why are you qualified to write a book about Christianity? And the guy was like, I have a PhD in Christian studies, and that was seen as like a huge victory for that guy, right? But if you think about it, Don Lemon is making the same argument that stupid right-wing host on Fox News was saying, like,
always,
if you're not
always
X,
making that argument.
Yeah, that you can't speak about anything. Like I always joke that I'm the only person qualified to talk about Hilaria Baldwin because I'm an actual Spaniard American, and everyone else can shut the fuck up about her. It's a ridiculous argument to make, but it's kind of like that's like the joke, And
it's perfect for somebody in Don Lemon's position, where it's like I get to be some sort of quote unquote black authority. And it's not like the powers that be approximate to many black people that they would feel are qualified anyway. So it's like, it's very self-serving for somebody like him to have, like you described it as maximalist sort of rhetoric concerning race, where this guy like pretends to be some kind of race warrior. And it's just like, come on, like with what credibility could somebody tell me that Don Lemon speaks for the people in East New York and Brownsville or fucking Watts and Mississippi. Like that argument just lands completely flat on its face. I'm not saying he's any less black than them, although
You're not saying it?
I'm not saying it. I'm just saying, like, it's laughable to presume that this guy could speak for those folks in any way. And again, like, it's not like he knows anything about any blackness that is divorced from black bourgeois existence. Like, he doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't want somebody. He wants great service at a restaurant. You know, he wants his bosses to have, you know, a few black faces in the management structure or whatever. Like, he's not speaking to anything that actually directly affects a bunch of black people. Like, it'd be laughable to think that he would, right? And so him getting his comeuppance over there while being a terror, and then of course, you know, he's not in the closet, is he? Nando, you there?
Yeah, sorry, my internet crapped out. Now it's back.
All good. Is Don Lemon in the closet?
No, I think he's out.
Okay, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, he checks both of those boxes as a black guy and a gay guy, you know, which again, when you're in elite spaces, it's very easy to weaponize those things. So to tokenize yourself, like it's very lucrative. It's very beneficial to the people in those positions while, you know, just straight up not actually speaking to anything that directly affects people who aren't you, who happen to be in that demographic category.
Yeah. Honestly, like I don't want anyone in listening to this to think like, oh, Nando thinks Tucker is better than Don Lemon or anything like that.
I mean, he's better at the job.
Well, he's definitely better at the job, but they're both my enemies. I don't know how to explain it. Like they're both my enemies, and
yeah, but in the wider world, people will tend to think that Don Lemon is more proximate to you, when to me, Don Lemon is definitely more right wing than he is leftist. Like that is so obviously a fact. He's more Tucker Carlson than he is a man of the people. Everybody has to know that. I don't think that's even inflammatory. Like, this guy's interests, as far as his class interests, 100% more closely aligned to a Tucker Carlson than to us or anybody listening to this podcast. I don't think we're casting aspersions on the guy by saying two TV guys making millions of bucks have more in common with each other than they do the average person, school teacher, say, anywhere on planet Earth.
Yeah.
That's not a stretch by any means. But I do want to get to Brandon Joe Biden. He's running again, Nando. Shocker. Yeah. Surprise, surprise. Him and Kamala, 2024. They're gonna shock the world. They're gonna save America. I don't know what are they gonna do. Kamala's gonna give more drunk speeches.
Dude, that Kamala clip. I'll send it because we need to play it. Come on,
yes,
it's so good.
Jeremy, if you are there, please play this clip.
Let me find this. I'll put it in the chat. 1 second. I got it. It is spectacular. Like, why wouldn't, you know, like, okay, like, let me be perfectly clear. Like, Brandon's not going to replace Kamala on the ticket. Like, that's just not going to happen because it's going to be too disruptive, and it'll be like an admission that it was the wrong choice and blah, blah, blah. But I can see why they're probably tempted to. I mean, she's maybe the worst public speaker I've ever seen in like mainstream American politics. Like, let's see.
Hold on, clip. Nando. Let's watch the clip, please.
So I think it's very important, as you have heard from so many incredible leaders, for us at every moment in time, and certainly this one, to see the moment in time in which we exist and are present, and to be able to contextualize it, to understand where we exist in the history and in the moment as it relates not only to the past, but the future. So I think it's very
That's it, Jerv. That's it, Jerv.
I tweeted out.
Speaking.
I tweeted out that if you threw in like a couple like swear words into that, she sounds like the way Kendall speaks in Succession. You know, like so what are we doing? We're just talking about the present moment with the. Well, I mean, we just got to take in all the things in the past and in the future to see where we are like right now. You know, like fucking. You know what I mean? Like she has like that.
Suit, bro. Just the emptiest person in American politics. And how I know, man, listen, how I know that she stunk up the joint is that these fools have been leaking in the media to Politico and Axios, which are basically like they're the mouthpieces of the worker bees within the government. That's what Politico and Axios does. You know, this sort of insidery information trading type of situation. They've been throwing her under the bus for 2 years, bro. Like 2 years. And like they hand selected her to be like, you know what, man? She's a black woman. She's got all these credentials. Like she's pretty attractive person. Like this feels like something we could run with. This, like, you know, not Barry, obviously not a Barry, but some bastardized version of a nice black polished Democratic politician. And my God, have they had buyer's remorse on her. And all she's done is just like, how do you fuck up that job? You don't have a job. And so she's clearly probably a disaster behind the scenes because, yo, this never happened to Biden. Yeah. While he was Barry's vice president. If anything, man, Biden went from some Democrat that everybody understood was like centrist as hell, like super aligned with the bank, nothing progressive, exciting, or fun about him. His popularity exploded under Barry's leadership, bro. Like he became like this cool uncle, dad, whatever figure as the vice president. Kamala's has nosedived. Her reputation is just taking a hit. All of these memes on the internet was like, is this woman always drinking wine?
No, Biden legitimately would have won in 2016. Had Obama not honored his deal with the Clintons because he's a fucking bitch. Like Biden wanted to run and Barry told him not to because he promised to clear the path for Hillary so that the Clinton machine wouldn't go after Barry during his presidency. That's straight up. Like that's what happened. But Biden would have won in 2016. Biden would have beaten Trump in 2016. I have no doubt in my mind. Yeah, Biden 100%. Is a much savvier politician. Like people are looking at Biden's approval rating right now and seeing like, holy shit, like, you know, it's pretty terrible. And that's true. It's 100% like true for a million reasons. But when the fight starts, I mean, assuming he hasn't like collapsed from eating too much pudding or something, he's a savvier. Like he's been in political fights before and he's won them. Like he's done this for fucking 50 years, literally. Like he's literally been elected. He was elected to Senate for the first time when he was like 29, 50 years ago. He's old as fuck. He's been around and like he hasn't done anything else other than be a politician, other than be a senator who just wins races all the time. And he beat Trump in 2020, which is a very difficult thing to do, to beat an incumbent, and he fucking beat him. And so, you know, when it is Biden versus Trump again, because I'm 90% sure that that's what's going to happen. I mean, we're seeing Ron DeSantis just kind of disinflate in front of our very eyes, and it's fucking hilarious to see and very delightful and you know, great. And like no other, like what other Republican's going to beat fucking Trump? Like assuming Trump really follows through and runs, like who's going to beat him? Come on, get out of here. Get the fuck out of here. So it's
Nikki Haley, bro. Trump.
Yeah, right. Get the fuck out of here. Like Biden's going to beat him again. Biden's going to beat him because like Trump's fundamentals are way worse than Biden's, and the GOP's fundamentals have taken a huge hit since they fucking abolished Roe v. Wade. You know?
Yeah, they were smelling themselves because people were legitimately like, yo, GOP has a point. Kids need to go back to school. We're tired of the COVID lockdowns, blah, 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 blah. A lot of people were like, yo, I'm feeling what these guys are talking about. Then, of course, as the GOP will, especially in today's climate, they just take everything way too freaking far. And, they scare the hell out of people. And so Yeah, I can see Biden beating his ass again and all of this like election fraud. That shit ain't working. And you know, to Tucker's point, man, to tie this shit all in one bowl. The main reason why that shit won't work is because somebody like Mitch McConnell don't care. He don't got a problem with Joe Biden for real, bruh. Like they're on the same team realistically. Yo, it's so crazy, man. McConnell went back to Kentucky and took credit for the Build Back America stuff that was coming to Kentucky, and he tried to sabotage it at every turn. Like that's all you need to. That's all you need to know about these fools. Like he took credit for. He's like, yeah, y'all getting all of that stuff thanks to me. He's putting his name behind it after it's already been passed, and he sabotaged it. Like that's how you know he don't care for real. Like the powers that be don't really, in the Republican Party anyway, they don't see Biden as some major problem for them. It's not. He's not going to do anything to fundamentally change the gravy train in the system, man. And so run Trump, whatever, fam.
Oh man, it starts relatively soon.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, like we're 2 months from June. That'll be less than 18 months till they start bludgeoning us with this election stuff, wall to wall crap. So yeah, nobody's looking forward to that. But yeah, man, Uncle Joe is back in the saddle.
Brandon, baby.
By the time he finishes his second term, he'll be 86 years old. But look,
I mean, we talked about what's going on with fucking Feinstein. Like, it's just crazy.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. Like, Pelosi's in her 80s.
Listen, I don't trust any of these young Democrats to not lose against Trump.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, you got to be okay. I have this like theory about fame, and like, did you see this? There's this poll that came out. That looked at which actors are the most reliable box office draws, and they're all like above 55. You know, it's because you had to have been famous before social media. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my theory on politics is kind of the same. Is like if you're like a product of the internet age, that means you're just disconnected from the broad public. You're just in your own little weird internet corner, which is what's happening with Ron DeSantis, by the way. You know, like he's getting in this fight with Disney because fucking 12 weirdos on the internet, which he's like kind of, you know, that's like part of his little milieu, are excited about it. And he didn't realize like, yo, everyone's like thinks this is weird and stupid and pointless, you know?
Why are you attacking Disney?
Yeah. Like, I'm sure Ron DeSantis is like really fired up about this stupid Bud Light shit, which I don't even know what it is. I've just seen videos of like
I still don't know what it is.
Like AR-15, you know, taking AR-15.
I ignored that on purpose.
Light.
I was like, the idea that anybody would think Bud Light is woke is just that's not something I could even bother to entertain or engage with. I can't.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's you know that there's a reason why the olds are just better at it than the youngs. Like, I mean, I just think the youngs just are really going to struggle to get mass appeal. And it's going to be weird once all the olds die out, you know? And politics is going to be super weird in that era when everyone running is just like internet people. It's going to be so fucking weird.
Run for the hills. All right, well, that's our show for today. Make sure you subscribe to the Count the Dings YouTube. Make sure you're checking out all the other Count the Dings offerings. Go to patreon.com/Count the Dings. We appreciate you guys for the support. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Later.